Hey, God bless you, my friend and sister Sharon. And today we are discussing the island of Patmos. And for those of you who do not know, in the book of Revelation, the first chapter, it picks up where John, the disciple of Jesus, was banished to this island. This is what the Isle of Patmos modern day looks like. It is a very thriving tourist site where many people go to see where it was that not John the Baptist, pardon me, but John, the disciple of Jesus, this is where they banished him. They put him in exile here because during the time that John was sent to Patmos, he was living in Ephesus and he would not stop speaking and preaching against the paganism that was going on in Greece during that time. And it said that this island was very notorious, where they would just take people out who were prisoners or they seemed to be a threat to the government. They would literally take them out to this island and just leave them. And keep in mind, you see, it's really built up now. It's a thriving modern tourist site. But when John was exiled, this is not how it looked. It was a very stony, rocky, totally deserted for the most part, no vegetation. This seaport, which is in the middle of Patmos, the island of Patmos has 3 different parts to it. It's 7 miles long, and this just happens to be a crossover of the island, but this is just a small seaport here. But friends, trust me when I tell you, all of us at some point go through being exiled by people who do not like the idea that you are different. This is what causes people to ostracize, criticize, and push you to the side. And most commonly, this could be your loved ones. But what I want to point out to us today about the island of Patmos that John had to endure is the scriptures say that he was in the Spirit on the Lord's day. He was in the Spirit. He was communing with God in the Spirit. This is how we maneuver through being ostracized and isolated from what seems like the in crowd for some of us. Family, it could be on the job. Friends, this is what we have to pay attention to. John was taken to this place, driven to this place, if you will, by his enemies. But guess who showed up on the Isle of Patmos? It was Jesus. Jesus spoke to John and gave him revelation, or the revelation of himself. The revealing of Jesus to John, who wrote down what he heard. He said he heard a voice from behind him. And Jesus began to speak to John what we now read from the book of Revelation. It's not Revelations, it's the book of Revelation. He wrote down what Jesus began to speak to him, most notably about the 7 churches. Friends, it is vitally important that we understand when things are tight and it don't seem right with your life, it's time to give your ear to God, because it is in those times that he has so much he wants to talk to you about. He has so much that he wants to reveal to you. And if you despise your enemies, which is contrary to what Jesus told us, yes, it hurts when people are trying to attack us and harm us. But friends, John, we know, was not sitting here feeling sorry for himself. He had, when the scriptures say he was in the Spirit, John was worshiping. He was probably out in this volcanic island praising God. He was praising, he was worshiping, he was communing with God in his spirit. And Jesus was able to speak to John, and John was able to discern his voice. Listen, friends, you got to drown out your enemies and begin to worship in that dark season of your life, that season of anxiety and fear. Beloved, we must loan our ear, because God knew that John was on the Isle of Patmos. And nothing surrounded the seaport, which is modern day tourism. But friends, in that time, once you were dropped off here, there was no way back out of here except on a boat. And John didn't have that. He didn't have it, friends. And he eventually, God brought the understanding of what Jesus was saying to John, brought it forth in a way that we still read and study from what was revealed in isolation, because that's what this was. I cannot encourage you enough, friends, to turn your heart towards heaven. Do not grow weary in well-doing in your time of seemingly isolation. It's vitally important that you understand that your enemies are not winning. God is using them to fine-tune your ear. Now, the question as I end this exhortation, what do you hear? What is the Spirit talking to you about? Is He bringing correction in your life? Is He giving you direction for ministry? Is He confirming what He's already been speaking by giving you more understanding of those things that you have been pondering for years? What do you hear, my friend, on this Isle of Patmos in your life? Your enemies are not winning. He is using them to bring you to a place that you can hear. Till next time, my friends, he or she that has an ear to hear. God bless you, my friends. Patmos is where we meet Jesus.